Well, hello and welcome to our special broadcast, Battle of Champions on the T20 World Cup 2022. And today we are coming to you from a new venue, which is Perth, which is where India would be playing their next encounter. I'm Nikhil Naz, with me as always, Sunny Gavaskar. So I was going to tell you good evening, but as a cricket fan, it doesn't feel like a good evening. I was so looking forward to watching a good game, England versus Australia, but rains played havoc in this entire tournament.
Yes, but Melbourne weather has always been a little unpredictable. It can rain anytime. You can have the sun shining brightly, and within the next 20 minutes or so, you could actually have the rains coming down. So you can never predict with the Melbourne weather.
Right. What you can't predict is Melbourne weather. The other thing you really can't predict is the Pakistan cricket team. They were out playing Zimbabwe at Perth. This is where we're coming to you live. And many expected it to be a walkover because Pakistan, of course, the clear favourites there, played the semi-finals last time at the T20 World Cup. Zimbabwe, though, had to qualify from the qualifying rounds, that is round one, and then made it to the main draw. And they have upset the men in green. All right, another close encounter, first against India. It was a topsy-turvy game that Pakistan lost. And now the big upset versus Zimbabwe. Sunny Gavaskar, Pragyan, Ojha live with us on the program. Sunny, what a difference 11 months can make. They were on top of the world, considered one of the best T20 sides in the world, played the final of the Asia Cup. Now it's almost curtains for them at this tournament.
Yes, I think they're going to win the remaining three matches and win by big margins as well. It's not going to be easy because they're playing South Africa. That's a top team as well. India also have to be very careful against South Africa. Now with Zimbabwe beating Pakistan, India has to be very careful against Zimbabwe as well. Because, Zimbabwe will be buoyed by the fact that they've beaten a top team like Pakistan. And look, I think cricket is, and T20 format is like that. T20 format, anything can happen. So I don't think Pakistan is a bad team. They've got some quality play, they've got some class players, terrific bowlers, terrific batsmen. But in this tournament, in both the matches, when it matters, they have not been able to deliver.
Pragyan, a word from you. I mean, people will say that, okay, you could have been unlucky. Close games versus India as well, here as well. Never know, had they completed the last few runs, they could have won. But at the end of the day, you also have got to question the Pakistan team because they had their chances. They had their chances against India. They had their chances against Zimbabwe, but they bottled it up when the pressure was tight.
Yeah, first of all, good evening, Sunny sir and Nikhil. Coming back to the topic, I think, there's a very interesting point. Sunny sir was saying that Pakistan team is a good side, but the problem is the middle order and the questions. Did they answer it before coming to the World Cup? Because I feel at least 3 or 4 tournaments you need to prepare yourself well, and you have to have answered all your questions before you enter this kind of tournaments. And that's where you see these questions were lingering around. The same thing if you see in 2019, that number 4 question was lingering around Indian team. That is where Indian team really worked hard and tried to answer those questions. And what does a champion team do? It answers those questions which they feel are not up to the mark. So that is the reason why India has improved and Pakistan are still trying to build themselves up. And somehow I feel that loss to India somewhere psychologically has put a lot of pressure on them. Maybe that has impacted this game that they played against Zimbabwe.
Okay, interesting what Pragyan points out. He says maybe, they came here underprepared because that question about the middle order was there even before they came here. And he feels that that loss against India may have, put their morale down, and that is what resulted in this loss. I want to talk to you about the one strength that they had. Babar Azam, Mohammad Rizwan. But even when they were scoring runs, there was continuous scrutiny or the strike rate isn't good. Have they, in that sense, the kind of pressure coming from outside and then maybe the talk that would have happened in the dressing room, the what good thing that they had going, that's also not really going for them because of the amount of pressure from outside?
Well, pressure is always there when you're playing for your country and you're playing against quality opposition in a multi-country tournament like the Asia Cup or the World Cup. The pressure is always going to be there. But if you're a good player, and these two are very good players, I don't think they'll be too concerned. Because if you're getting criticism every day, then you ignore it. You try and
which is happening with them.
Yeah, you try and take criticism which is constructive, which is not destructive. which are not trying to destroy your confidence. Yes, everybody, all of us being in this business sometimes use the odd harsh word. But it is, it is not to sort of destroy anybody's morale. Sometimes it is to try and egg people on to do well. Uh, uh, with Pakistan, what has happened is they've actually not been able to cross the line at a vital stage. They had the match in the bag against India till Kohli played those two magnificent sixes. And then after that also 16 runs is a lot of runs in an over. But Mohammad Nawaz conceded that. He bowled that full toss. And so they panicked under pressure. They didn't do as well. And similarly against the Zimbabweans, they were in a fairly good position. They were, I think, something 96 for 5. So, sure, you still have half your side and you've just got to go 35 more runs. But they did not do it because they panicked. So, it's a matter of trying to be able to keep your cool. Maybe they're feeling the pressure. But if, I know the Indians, if the Indians had lost to the Pakistanis, they would have doubled their efforts in the remaining matches to try and erase the memory of that defeat. But Pakistan has not done it.
As I mentioned at the start of the program, unpredictability. That's the one thing that you associate with the Pakistan team. But in the position that they are, and I remember the 92 World Cup right here, it was the same Pakistan team from the dead, goes on to win the tournament. But can this Pakistan team, or does this Pakistan team look like that they can bounce on from the dead?
Look, any team, they win the next 3 matches big and they manage to qualify by the skin of their teeth, anything can happen. But why are we talking about the Pakistan team? Let's talk about our team. Let's talk about the way they're shaping up. It was so good to see Rohit Sharma get some runs the other day. It was so good to see Arshdeep bowling the way that he did. Ashwin got some wickets. Akshar Patel got some wickets. So everybody who didn't, have a great match against Pakistan, they've all come back well. Now the only concern would be maybe about KL Rahul because both matches he hasn't scored too many runs. Yeah. But he's a class act. But let's look at the Indian team. Let's not worry about we are an Indian channel. We should be worried about our team
because the same group, all of it affects us as well. So we're keeping a close eye on that. And there was you'd be surprised with the number of people that was celebrating Pakistan's loss yesterday. So that's generated a massive amount of interest in India as well. But just quickly, Pragyan, to you, if I could ask you, in that game that Pakistan and Zimbabwe played, what do you think were the lessons that the Indian team could have learned, looking at the conditions, looking at the way the Zimbabwe bowlers had bowled?
I think it's very simple. Like as they say, you should keep your cricket very simple. That is like, once you have got the control over the game, don't let it loose. That is what T20 cricket is all about, because this is the shortest format, and once you lose the momentum, it is very difficult to get it back. And the team that puts pressure on the other and maintains it will get the upper hand, because both the team are very good. If you look at batting lineup, they're good, and the bowling also is quite similar. But when you talk about the pace, maybe South Africa has got quicker bowlers, but with the experience and the confidence that both the teams are carrying, they're quite similar. And as we know, Perth will help the faster bowlers. So it is how you handle the pressure and how well you put that pressure back on the opponent. That will be very important.
Okay, that was Pragyan Ojha letting us know about what he thinks that the Indian team has to do. Saimai, quick word to you. Looking at that, we saw 2 fast bowlers from Zimbabwe, both tall bowlers. That's the challenge that India will have in tall bowlers like Rabada, Andrik Nokia. What can India learn from that encounter?
I think what India will learn from that encounter, because of the size of the ground at Perth, is that you're better off trying to hit the big shots straight. Yes, you can use the extra pace sometimes when you have somebody like a Nokia or somebody like a Rabada with the extra pace. What you can do is use their extra pace to flick the ball over the square leg, as we've seen Surya Kumar Yadav do, Kohli do. These are shots, even Rohit Sharma playing that hook shot the other day at Sydney. That can be done. But basically, I think what they need to do is like they did in that game at Sydney. First 6 overs, just 1 wicket. So even if it was not the kind of start that they were looking for, maybe 60 in the first 6 overs or 50 or something, at least they'd given themselves that little stability. So after which they could make up for it.
Okay, Sunny Gavaskar, Pragyan Ojha, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, we're coming to you live from Perth, the venue of India's next encounter. But the one man who's been the star for India so far hasn't been dismissed. His name is Virat Kohli. Played that match-winning knock against Pakistan, then stood out in that game versus Netherlands. And I caught up with one of Virat Kohli's biggest fan in Australia. She's a sports journalist, and this is what Amanda had to say, how she started following Virat Kohli and what happens when Australia play India. With me is Chloe, and of course the media fraternity might know Chloe as a journalist, but she is, or she claims she is the biggest Virat Kohli fan in the world. Is that correct?
I didn't say in the world, but I think I'm one of the biggest in Australia. And one of the things I've always loved is that he got his maiden Test century here in Adelaide. And I kind of feel like Australia, because Australians love Virat Kohli, right? He's the king. Every time he comes to town, it's all over the newspapers, the king, the king. I kind of feel like we own that little part of Virat.
Oh, yes, you do. I know Australians love him. Okay. And Chloe knows a bit of Hindi. She watches a lot of Bollywood films and she loves Indian food. So now here's a tough question. I know your favorite dish is samosa. Samosa or Virat?
Watch Virat play cricket every day over samosa. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I know Shah Rukh Khan is the one hero that you admire. Shah Rukh Khan or Virat Kohli?
Virat Kohli, obviously.
Oh my God.
I love cricket, yeah. The best.
Okay. If there was a choice between Australia playing and India playing, would you still be rooting for Virat Kohli?
People always ask, Australia, if Australia plays India, who are you going for? And I say Australia and Virat Kohli.
Oh, so you want a Virat 100 and Australia to win. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it's just like if India wins against Australia, I can't be mad because Virat's in the team.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I get from a lot of Pakistan fans as well. Okay, quiz for you, Virat Kohli quiz.
No.
Let me see how big a fan you are. Okay,
no.
I'm
not good with stats.
Okay, not stats, but let's see how many things you remember. His
favorite food and things.
What is his favorite food?
It's my namesake, Chole Bhature.
That is correct. And that was going to be one of my questions. You're Chloe, that's Chole, but kind of the smelling is
But
the same.
everyone knows me as Chole.
Okay. He made his ODI debut in 2008 and he opened the innings. Would you know who his opening partner was at the time?
In 2008,
I'll give you an option.
I was a child.
Okay. I'll give you an option.
Okay.
Virendra Sehwag, Gautam Gambhir, Sachin Tendulkar.
I don't think it was Sachin.
It wasn't.
Who were the other options?
Sehwag and Gambhir.
Probably Gambhir.
There, you got it. He was.
I'm trying to
You're
historically
good.
go through my brain.
You're good. Okay, his start of the ODI World Cup started on a great note. He got 100. Would you know the opposition?
No.
It was Bangladesh.
I'm not good with remembering stats.
Okay, your favorite Virat Kohli inning. That's not a stat.
Well, I always say his maiden Test century because I feel like we own that. I love his obviously 82 not out that he just played, and I also love his Mohali 82 not out.
Okay. Finally, before I let you go, I know your Hindi is pretty good, so say something to Virat in Hindi.
मेरा हिंदी थोड़ा weak है.
थोड़ा weak है.
Yeah.
और मैं आपकी सबसे बड़ी fan हूँ.
मैं आपकी सबसे बड़ी fan हूँ.
There you go. I'll try my best if Virat Kohli can. Have you ever met him?
No. I've seen him at press conferences.
Maybe this video will give you that opportunity. But Chloe, thank you so much for being a sport and speaking to us. All the best.
Thank you.